Fly me to the moon. Let us play the World Series. Just kidding. Anyway, it's time to talk about the Houston Astros of their franchise and the team I'm doing the what if about. The Houston Astros were expansion team in 1962, the first NL expansion team because the NL had 8 teams from 1901 to 1961, and then Houston, alongside the New York Mets, came in the league. Now, to note, Houston was not named the Astros to start. They were the Colt 45s in honor of a very famous gun. But after much talk and a new stadium being built in 1965, the Colt 45s became the Astros because they named it the Astrodome because Houston is home to Cape Kennedy, which is a key place for American space travel. So then, they played in the Astrodome. Of course, the grass was dying because they put this Astrodome like a fixed roof. So they decided to create their own grass. Monsanto decided to make it AstroTurf, and that's how AstroTurf came in. Unfortunately, AstroTurf would be hated by a lot of baseball purists, mostly because they put AstroTurf in stadiums in Philly, St. Louis, Cincy, and a few others like Pittsburgh. Now, of course, AstroTurf was a little bit needed because, in fact, the fact is that many stadiums were multi-purpose stadiums that shared with NFL teams. Obviously, you can't share with NBA or NHL teams because obviously, why would you play those things outdoors? So anyway, yeah, tons of stadiums were multi-purpose. Houston's was one of the first. Actually, in fact, no, but you know. So the AstroTurf helped the Houston Astros grow into an indoor team. The Astros would not have playoff success or attempted to get to the playoffs until 1980, when they basically were in a dogfight in the NL West with the LA Dodgers. Despite having a 3-game lead with 3 to play, the Astros had to play in LA for 3 games. Worst came to worst. If Houston lost all 3 games, they play a 4th game, a 1-game tiebreak, but in LA. Kind of strange that they should just, okay, well, the 1-game tiebreak will be in Houston. But to save on travel, I guess, putting LA. Houston choked. They had 2 late game chokes against the Dodgers in that weekend series. It was a 1-game playoff, but thankfully for Houston, they used Joe Niekro, who got his 20th win of the year, and the Astros won 7-1. The Astros would take on the Phillies in one of the best NLCS of all time. And you're thinking, okay, the 1980 Astros should be in this list. But there's one that should be much more. But anyway, the 1980 Astros played a critical 5-game series against the Phils for the NL title. Game 5 went to 10 innings before the Phillies won. Pete Rose, I think, was the hero. Or was it Manny Trillo? I forget. Anyway, the Astros picked up their things. They licked up their wounds. And Houston, of course, made the biggest move, getting Nolan Ryan. Now, it was supposed to be Nolan Ryan and J.R. Richards being strikeout artists. Unfortunately, J.R. Richards suffered a stroke in the 1980 season and basically was not the same guy, mentally and physically. Unfortunately, though, 1981 would mark the split season. Houston and LA both won 1.5 of the league during that time. So Houston and LA would face each other in the league division series. And unfortunately for Houston, they choked a 2-0 series lead. Now, devil's advocate is that the first 2 games were in Houston and the last 3 games were in Los Angeles, so I guess the home team could win every time. And that's what happened. The Dodgers got revenge on Houston from the year before, going to the 1981 NLCS and then subsequently going to the World Series and winning the World Series. So the Astros' tries and might just weren't that big. They still had Nolan Ryan. But in 1986, they popped out of freaking nowhere. Yes, that's right. The 1986 Houston Astros won the division thanks to Mike Scott's no-hitter. Now, Mike Scott's pitching was kind of controversial because he had like a scuff ball, if you will. People were saying he scuffed the ball all the time. Obviously, many pitchers say they only say that when I'm good, but when I'm bad, they don't say a damn word. Mike Scott's pitching and breaking balls were huge for Houston in the 1986 World Series. A chance to get to the World Series. in the NLCS against the Mets, Mike Scott was 2-0. Without Mike Scott, though, Houston ended up being 0-4. They could have used Mike Scott. Mike Scott definitely would have been used for Game 7 if the Astros won that game. But the Mets came back from a 3-0 deficit in the top of the ninth in Game 6 to tie it up. The Mets had 3 runs into the 14th. Okay, they're going to win. By Houston, Kevin Bass, 3-run home run off the left field foul pole, game tied. Unfortunately, the Mets went on to win that game in 16 innings, 7-6. It was the longest postseason game for 19 years. The Mets went on to win the World Series against the Red Sox. Now, I could just do the 1986 Astros saying, what if they won this series and took on the Boston Red Sox? It would be nice. Roger Clemens facing his hometown team. But I thought about, I already did something about 86, a sob story about the California Angels, Donnie Moore. So I decided to go with another year. I try my best not to make multiple teams for a certain year, unless it's necessary. Houston would go on to not be much of a player until 94, when Jeff Bagwell was hitting balls out of the Astrodome. Sadly, though, split season screwed over the Astros, who probably might have had a chance at the division title, which Cincy had, kind of. Anyway, Houston would not get their mojo back till 98, when Randy Johnson got traded from Seattle to Houston. Sadly, though, the Astros, even if they had Randy Johnson, couldn't do much. The Astrodome closed a couple years later in 2000 and became Enron Field. And as people in America know about Enron, they went up and down. They had a roller coaster and they crashed to the ground. The stadium is now called Minute Maid Field and has never changed its name from Minute Maid. Yum yum. It should be called Gulp. Whatever. So anyway, Houston had kind of an advantage with their new stadium. The Crawford boxes in left field, making it shorter, and center field with Tal's Hill with a flagpole, 435 to deep center. Now, the Astros did change that 2 years ago to just be a normal hill at 400 feet. Regardless, the Houston Astros had their chances in the 2000s. 2004, they shocked everyone by winning a game in the LDS, but unfortunately, Atlanta stomped them. 2004, they stomped the Atlanta Braves to go into the NLCS against the St. Louis Cardinals. It was a massive battle. Jeff Kent and Jim Edmonds traded walk-off home runs in games 5 and 6. Game 7 would not go Houston's way as the Cardinals ended up winning the World Series and being swept by the Bo Sox. Now, one thing I didn't say about the Bo Sox was that it's kind of strange how they won 5 straight World Series to start, and then they lost all these World Series, and then they won all the World Series. Every time Boston's in the World Series, they have kind of a streak. So if they had lost the 2018 World Series, I would bet by the next time Boston would have got to the World Series, they would lose in multiple times. But that's just me. But anyway, I'm just about tired of being insulting. Anyway, so Houston came back the next year in 2005 and shook off the cobwebs. They beat Atlanta. They had to go to 18 innings in Game 4 with Chris Burke hitting a home run. Oh, by the way, Houston actually made a massive comeback. They were down 4-1 in the 8th inning when they hit a home run to make it 4-4. And I can't remember who it was. Bijou? I don't know. That hit a home run just about the yellow line in the 9th inning that got a home run. I think it was Osmus. But anyway, Astros won in 18 innings. They slayed the Dragon of St. Louis and got to the World Series where the White Sox were waiting, and they got swept. Astros lose out heavily. And, of course, the rule is no finals teams in a what-if. Don't want to repeat that. So, basically, that team is automatically out the door. Houston would not get many chances in the National League. Then in 2013, their president said, why don't we just move to the American League and make it 15-15? With interleague play actually being more widespread, it was fine. You would have, at least one interleague series every 4 days or something like that. And it worked. Houston got better and better. In 2015, and 2015 was playoff time. But we'll talk about that team later. A few years later, in 2017, they had all the ingredients for something good. They took care of the Bull Sox. They took care of the New York Yankees, although it took 7 games in the LCS. They were projected to do well against the Dodgers. And heck, Houston won Game 7 on the road. They got a World Series title. And the ominous thing was that in 2013, there was a Sports Illustrated cover saying that projecting the 2017 Houston Astros as champions. How the fuck did they know? Houston unfortunately slipped in the playoffs in 2018. So anyway, the 2015 team. A bunch of teams, like some young star players like Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa were helping with veterans like Carlos Beltran and Josh Reddick for Houston. Houston had some decent pitching. They had Dallas Keuchel. They had Lance McCullers. They had a few other people. I would say Garrett Cole, but I'm probably wrong. I know they didn't have Verlander. In 2015, the Astros faced the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium for a one-game wild card. The winner got to face the number 1 team in the AL, who was the Kansas City Royals. So anyway, Houston somehow went into New York and quieted the Yankee fans down and won it. So Houston now had to take on Kansas City in the best of 5 LDS. Game 4 was pivotal. Houston won a couple games. They were up 2-1. They had hitting. Altuve was hitting home runs out of the park and getting that locomotive tooting and all that. 8th inning, Royals down by 5. All Houston had to do was stay calm through the 8th and 9th and win the game, and they would be going to the ALCS. A few runs here, okay, that's fine. And then off Tony Sipp was just the slow ball off Tony Sipp's glove and right through Correa. I can only cringe when I hear the great Matt Excursions fights on Fox. Off Correa, and in the center the game is tied. Unfortunately, that meant the Astros blew it. They lost Game 4, and then they lost Game 5 a couple nights later. And, of course, the Kansas City Royals went on to win the World Series over the New York Mets. Now comes the thing. There is a little bit of an issue, if you will. Because, here's the thing. By me putting the 2015 Astros into the ALCS, it's going to cause trouble. Because, as you know, Kansas City went on to win the ALDS, the ALCS, and then the World Series. So, obviously, the American League representative is off. So, we'll have to do it in 2 parts, which is a rarity. Now, the Houston Astros would go, now, in this WHatIf, go on to face the other team who won the other LDS, and that were my Toronto Blue Jays. That team actually came back from 2-0 down to win Game 5, making a monkey out of me, if you will. Because I told everyone at Canadian Thanksgiving dinner, Canadian Thanksgivings are the same day as Columbus Day. I said, there's no way the Blue Jays are going to win. Now, they're down 0-2. They lost 2 games at home. They're screwed. My sister-in-law, Marlene, told me to have the faith. And she was right. I just did it because numbers don't lie. 0-2 coming back from 0-2 deficits in series usually doesn't happen. And, of course, as you all know, I'm still bitter about the Blue Jays of 2015 because they lost to the Royals in 6 games, and they had a few games, especially Game 2. David Price had that ball. Ryan Goings didn't go after that lazy fly ball that would have been caught in the glove, and maybe the Blue Jays would have won Game 2 and made something happen. But anyway, the Astros would take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Astros, of course, are the wildcard team, so the Blue Jays would have home field for 1, 2, 6, and 7. And of course, that would be the new American League representative. That means we have to do the 2015 World Series, in a sense. Now, the rule is that if I do one league, I don't touch the other league. Thus, the National League doesn't get touched, and we will automatically assume that the Mets would have taken care of the Cubs. So the Mets wait for either Houston or Toronto in it. And obviously, well, I'll be doing the starters for the 2015 Mets in the World Series, like by their order. But bear in mind that Houston and Toronto will have their ALCS starters in a row. Houston will have to figure out. So let's see. Will the Astros or Blue Jays face the New York Mets? Astros, Blue Jays. Someone will take on the New York Mets in the World Series. Who shall it be? Sorry, the thing is off. There we go. Astros win 6-4 in game 1. Carlos Gomez with an RBI double to score Correa. Justin Smoke gets hit by a pitch to score Jose Bautista 1-1. Valbuena sees Marco Estrada and booms it to center field. Of course, the 2015 Blue Jays started the LCS in Kansas City because Kansas City was 1 seed, so now they've got to play at home. Valbuena makes it 2-1. Josh Donaldson, say goodbye. That one. MVP. Has it at 2. Nothing much, but until Donaldson comes back in the 5th, boom, left center gone. Say goodbye to that one. 3-2. 3-2, top of the 8th. Blue Jays can feel it. Carlos Gomez, oh no, right center gone. Damn it. 4-3. And then Altuve hits a homer in the left center. Damn you, Altuve. Gone. 6-3. Fuck. Jose Bautista by a single, but that doesn't matter. Sorry. I'm kind of biased because of the Blue Jays. 2 RBIs, Gomez, 3, fumble, and 1. Keiko went 7 innings, then Will Harris and Luke Gregerson came in. Blue Jays. Liam Hendricks. Thanks a lot, Hendricks. After Estrada, Tapera, Delabar, and Aaron Sanchez. Yeah, he was known as a reliever at that time. So now we get to game 2, and they decide to use Lance McCullers against David Price. The Jays know what they're going to do. And they do. 5-2. Josh Donaldson gets an RBI double, scored Ben Revere. Tulo grounded out and scored a run, 2-0. And here goes Luis Valbuena, top of the 5th, home run, 2-2. Oh no. And then the bottom of the 6th. Russell Martin, RBI double to score Smoke. Ryan Goins with an RBI single. And Kevin Millar with a double. 5-2. Yay. Great job by the Blue Jays pitching, only giving up 2 hits. The Valbuena home run and the Springer double. McCullers only goes 6. Will Harris and Pat Neshek come in relief and do their duties. The Blue Jays, Donaldson, Tulo, Martin, Goins, Pilar. For RBIs, David Price with the win. Roberto Osuna gets the save. On to game 3, switcheroo, dunkaroo, because you know the rule. So Marcus Stroman comes in. And they go with Mike Fiers for game 3. McHugh will go for game 4 because Toronto West will go for 4-man rotation too. Fair enough. And the Blue Jays go to Minute Maid and win 3-2. Great job by the Blue Jays. Russell Martin and Ryan Goins with back-to-back triples. Usually catchers don't hit triples. And then Josh Donaldson, RBI single to make it 3-0 to score Goins. Looks good for the Blue Jays. However, Jed Lowry, remember him? He hits a home run 3-1. And then he gets another RBI 3-2. How's that? Great job by the Blue Jays not to let the Astros back in it. Donaldson, Goins with RBIs. Stroman went 7 innings. Remember, Marcus Stroman actually tore his ACL, and we thought he was out for the year. But he came back in September. Liam Hendricks, he didn't suck this time. Roberto Osuna with the save. The Astros, is he there? Pair of RBIs for Lowry. Mike Fiers only went 5. Great job by the bullpen. Harris, Neshek, Fields, and Qualls after that. Blue Jays are now up 2-1. Blue Jays send Mr. R.A. Dickey against Colin McHugh, right? Yeah, Colin McHugh, Scott Kazmir, and Mike Burley will have to wait. You usually don't do 5-man rotations in the playoffs. And the Astros win game 4, 16-3. Jed Lowry, another home run. Jeez, left center field gone 3-0. Fuck. Then Jason Castro hits a home run down the right field line, 4-0. Springer RBI double, 5-0. Thinking, well, it's now 2 out of 3. Jose Bautista actually gets in the action and hits a home run, 5-1. Okay. But George Springer responds back with that home run. Carlos Gomez lined one that Pilar couldn't get and went all the way to Tal's Hill. That's the advantage of Tal's Hill. Inside the park home run, 7-1. Evan Gaddis comes in and makes it 8-1. Jason Castro gets an RBI double to score Rasmus. George Springer gets an RBI single. And Carlos Gomez takes a bases loaded walk to score Castro. 11-1. Diego Navarro hits a fly ball off the left field foul pole. Amazing. 11-2. Carlos Correa hit an RBI double to score Altuve and Springer. What is it with Correa? And then Jed Lowry gets another 2 RBIs. 15-2. It's over. Jose Altuve gets another RBI, make it 16-2. And Kevin Pillar RBI single, but that doesn't really fucking matter. Blue Jays. I guess Navarro came in for Martin for some reason. Bautista, Navarro, Pilar with RBIs. R.A. Dickey goes 4 innings. Aaron Sanchez gives up 4 runs in an inning. Bo Schultz doesn't do that well. Drew Hutchinson doesn't do that well. And then they got Tapera, Delabar, and Liam Hendricks, who do decent. The Astros, great job. Everyone except for Rasmus and Valbuena with RBIs. Poor Kobe Rasmus. But Colin McHugh went 7 innings. Roberto Hernandez, a.k.a. Fausto Carmona. So that's his name, Fausto Carmona. Came in for 2 innings. Well, the series is tied. They go back to their top starters for Game 5. I feel bad for Burley and Casimir. Well, the Astros end up winning the game 3-2. Another low-scoring game. George Springer, RBI single. Russell Martin got 2 RBI double. 2-1. He's like, yes, the Blue Jays are going to take a series lead home. Bottom of the 8th, runners from 2nd and 3rd. Correa, base hit. Scores Castro, scores Altuve. Altuve just has that speed. Blue Jays have the bases loaded, but Pilar strikes out, and Ben Revere can't do anything. Fuck. So the Astros look good. Martin, 2 RBIs. Marco Estrada did well. Again, Liam Hendricks sucked. Ryan Tapera did okay. Blue Jays, 3 RBIs by Correa and Springer. Keiko won 6 innings. He didn't get the win. It was Will Harris and Gregerson for the save. So back to Toronto. The Astros are 1 win away from going to the World Series and screwing the Blue Jays over. David Price. This is why we got him for games like this. And thankfully, it worked. 3-1, your score. Jed Lowry hit a home run 1-0 in the 4th. Then Kevin Pillar hits a home run to center field. He's not usually a home run power. Then Jose Bautista comes in and hits an RBI single to score Ben Revere. Thank goodness for that. 2-1. Kevin Pillar hits another RBI. He gets a double to score Ryan Goins. Astros have runners on 1st and 3rd, but Valbuena and Castro are OUT out. Lowry the only RBI. Lance McCullers went 6 innings to loss. Harris and Neshek came in. The Blue Jays, you see there. David Price with the win. Hendricks, Tapera, and Ozuna. 3 saves for Ozuna. Can he make it 4? They decided to go with Marco Estrada. Toronto does not trust R.A. Dickey. And they decided to go with Mike Fiers. I'm surprised, but anyway. Well, unfortunately for the Blue Jays, they lose 3-2. So the 2015 Astros do go to the World Series. After all, in 7 games. George Springer hit a home run in the 1st inning. Jed Lowry gets another home run. And then Luis Valbuena. What is about home runs in the Astros? 3-0. 3-0. Justin Smoke hits a home run to make it 3-1. Ben Revere an infield single 3-2. Blue Jays had a runner in 2nd in the 5th, but Russell Martin strikes out. And then runners on 1st and 3rd for the Astros. They didn't get through. Fine. Runner on 2nd for the Blue Jays. Ryan Goins pops up. Gregerson gets Pilar, Revere, and Donaldson in order. So, great job. Springer, Lowry, and Valbuena. They didn't need to do anything other than home runs. Mike Fiers wins the game. Lou Gregerson gets us to save. Harris and Neshek do well and relieve the Blue Jays. Justin Smoke. So again, the Blue Jays fall flat. In 7 this. Well, the Houston Astros are moving on to the World Series against the 2015 New York Mets, who won the NL. So Dallas Keuchel gets the start in Game 1, knowing that he hasn't pitched since Game 5 of the LCS. Matt Harvey for the Mets. And the rest did not help the Astros. Mets obviously swept. They had a lot more days off, and they won. Cespedes with a 2-run home run. And then Cespedes makes a move for the Astros. He drops a drive, and Jed Lowry makes George Springer score 2-1. Nothing much happens until the 6th when Cespedes hits another RBI single, a Texas League single. Ironic, it's in Texas, so for Anderson. So Cespedes, big part of it. Evan Gaddis hit one into the Crawford boxes, 3-2. But David Wright does the same thing. Man, in one of his swan songs, David Wright. But Carlos Correa hit one to center field over Tal's Hill. Goodbye, 4-3. Unfortunately, they couldn't do much after that. The Mets, right with Bernardo Cespedes with 3. Matt Harvey, 8 innings. Then La Familia with the save. Astros, Taika went 8 innings. Harris has done pretty well in relief, but it doesn't work. So that's game 1. Jacob deGrom pitches game 2. Lance McCullers game 2 for Houston. Obviously, they got to go with the same rotation. And the Mets pull one out of the Rabbits hat 8-4. Lance McCullers made a mistake and scores Granderson 1-0. Carlos Correa in the first does get an RBI double. And Conforto, I didn't know he could play for the 2015 Mets. He had a home run, 2-1. Great job. David Wright with an RBI double scored Granderson in the 3rd. And then in the 5th, Kadire with an RBI single for Granderson to score. Luis Valbuena, remember him? Home run in Game 7 of the LCS? Boom. He did it again, 4-3. 2 runs, scoring him and Rasmus. Carlos Gomez hits a double to left field, scored Correa 4-4. Thinking, woo, 4-4. The Mets get the bases loaded. The Astros get one guy, but Granderson puts a 2-run double to score Duda and d'Arnaud. And then in the 9th, d'Arnaud hit an RBI single to score Cespedes. Conforto with it. Single to score Duda. Lucas Duda, eh? Mets look rested, 2-0. Granderson with a pair of RBIs, Wright, Kadire, d'Arnaud, and Conforto. The ground goes 7 innings. Clippard and Eric go down. Who the fuck is that guy? You see now the 4 RBIs by the Astros. Lance McCullers went 6. It wasn't his fault. It was Will Harris's fault. Neshek Fields and Chad Qualls. So now comes the hard part for the Astros. They have to go to New York. Noah Syndergaard pitches game number 3 against Mike Fiers. We'll see what happens. And thankfully, the Astros get back on level footing. They win 3-1. They only give up 2 hits. Correa with an RBI single to score Altuve. Is that PJ Tucker? Preston Tucker. Oh yeah, the guy that takes over left field for Kobe Rasmus. He hits a home run. 3-0. Cespedes gets the first Mets hit with a home run to left field. Unfortunately, that was it. Except for a RBI single by David Murphy. The Mets did nothing. No, it's Daniel Murphy. Sorry, David Murphy was there. Texas Ranger. Preston Tucker comes out of fucking nowhere with a 2-run home run. Mike Fiers is the winner. Harris and Gregerson before the bullpen relief. The Mets, only 2 hits, one by Cespedes. Syndergaard did okay, but he lost it out. But Clippard, Godell, and Hansel Robles. The Mets are up 2-1. They know Matt Harvey is going to pitch 1 game. So they decide to do the smart thing and go with Bartolo Colon. The Astros decide to go with Scott Kazmir, thinking that Kazmir would be a better option in the World Series, being lefty and all that. And that worked out for Houston. Now it's 2-2. Correa ran by single to score Springer in the 1st. It was 1-0 for the longest time till the 6th when Jed Lowry got an RBI ground out, and then Luis Valbuena with an RBI double, 3-0. Cespedes comes up, hits a home run, 3-2. All right, good for the Mets. But in the 7th, Correa gets an RBI single to score Altuve, and Gomez gets another run across. 5-2, that would be it. Conforto hits a home run, and the Astros are now up to, forced at least a Game 6. Correa, pair of RBIs, Gomez, Lowry, Valbuena. Kazmir went 6 innings for the win. Harris, Neshek, Gregerson. Gregerson gave up a run, but thankfully it did not pull the save. Cespedes, pair of RBIs for Conforto. Kolonishki lost the game. Clippard, Godell, Robles, and Paredes. obviously, Houston will go with Dallas Keuchel against Matt Harvey. So, on to game 5. And the Mets break the run of road teams winning. They win 5-0. Houston only gets 3 hits. Nasty. Nasty, nasty. Cespedes got an RBI ground out. Nicely done. Curtis Granderson hits a home run to center field. The Granny Man. And then Matt Harvey, of all people, Matt Harvey hits a home run to make it 5-0. What? Houston just gets 3 puny hits. 2 by Altuve, who's a pretty good hitter. Dre Lowry with the other one. Dallas Keuchel lost the game. Carmona/Hernandez pitched 2 innings. The Mets. Granderson, Cespedes, Matt Harvey with 3 RBIs. Harvey did not go the whole way. He went 8 innings, and then Clippard came in for the 9th. So, the Mets could knock the Astros out of things. That's McCullers obviously is going to pitch game 6, projecting DeGrom. Will the Mets win the series? Well, let's pick up a radio broadcast. Here it comes. It's Correa. Correa, the center. This could be gone. Yes, it's gone. Carlos Correa, say goodbye to that one. Toot. 1-0. Runners on 1st and 3rd. The pitch to Cespedes. Cespedes. This is deep. This could be headed for the Crawford boxes. It is in the Crawford boxes. Cespedes again in Houston. Yikes. His 3rd home run in 3 games here in Houston. It's 3-1 Mets. Here comes the 2-1 to Granderson. Granderson, base hit. Here comes Conforto. 4-1 Mets. We're in the 8th inning. It's 4-1. Can the Astros do something about it? Bases are now loaded. Here comes Lucas Duda. The pitch, Duda, base hit. Here comes Murphy. Here comes Cespedes. It's 6-1 Mets. Runners on the corners. The 2-1 to Tejada. Tejada, base hit. That'll score Kadire easily. It's 7-1. Here comes Granderson. Base hit. Duda. It's 8-1. And now bases loaded. 2-1. Correa. Missed it. He missed it. Daniel Murphy is on base and Ruben Tejada scores at 9-1. Oh my gosh. Bottom of the 9th. Runner on 1st. A looping pitch. Gaddis. This is headed for the Crawford boxes. It's gone. Sayonara. 9-3. Tucker swing and a miss, and the New York Mets are champions. The Houston Astros go through all that pain and suffering, and they don't get the W. Not a good time to be a Astros fan. They lose the game by a score of 9-3. The Mets are your 2015 champions. First time in 3 decades they got a title. Well, the Mets proved without a shadow of a doubt they didn't quit. Cespedes especially. World Series MVP, anyone? DeGrom went 8 innings. Sean Gilmartin. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. The tea leaves say he pitched for the 15 Mets in the 2018 Orioles. I guess he's pitching for the Orioles now. I can't remember. Astros, well, Correa and Gaddis got home runs. Lance McCullers couldn't do a thing. Will Harris, Pat Neshek. Josh Fields, Scott Feldman. Boy, oh boy, the pitching just stunk it all up. And the New York Mets do win the 2015 World Series. Sorry, Houston. You just didn't win this time. Try again in 2 years.